Yeah. So I know we touched on this a little bit already, but I wanted to flesh it out a little bit more. Some people can see being assertive as the same thing as being aggressive or really forward. Are they the same, that forward and aggressive and assertive? And if they're not, what is the difference? Let's flesh this out a little bit.
So being assertive is not the same as being aggressive. And one of the best ways that I like to think about it is that if behavior exists on a continuum, and on one side we have someone who is passive, and on the other side we have somebody who is aggressive, then being assertive is basically falls in the middle. That we can have our thoughts and opinions, because again, it comes from this place of having confidence or being valued in who we are, and really being able to express or give voice to our thoughts and feelings. But even if you recognize some of the differences in that, people who are passive usually don't say much, or they go along with whatever the group wants to do kind of thing. But even over time, with people who are more passive, they might begin to feel resentful that even though they've chosen not to have a voice in something, but it really can end up being a submissive stance that they didn't intend to keep, that they find themselves overcommitting to things, saying yes to things when they really wanted to say no, but all of that then becomes a really negative experience for them. Or you have people on the other side who are aggressive, that somewhere in their experiences they learned that the only way for me to have a voice is that I'm going to yell, and I'm going to be more of a bully in my form of communication, and I'm going to make sure that not only are my thoughts and feelings expressed, but that really in doing so, or the manner in which I do it, is going to make the other person feel like they're wrong, that everything that you're wrong, you're stupid, you're this, you're that. And so I think that really when it comes to identifying these behaviors, that some of them become very clear. Like I've been in situations where I'm having a conversation with somebody who I have a relationship with, and probably 9 times out of 10 or more, they interrupt. People who interrupt, that's an aggressive form of communication, because when you're assertive, you're saying, because I recognize that I have value and worth, I'm going to respect you, and I'm going to give you that same value and worth. And so when we're having a conversation, I'm going to listen to what you're saying, and I'm not going to interrupt you, and I'm not going to quickly reload my thoughts so that I'm ready as soon as you decide to take a breath. But it's all of these things that you can even start to recognize in other people's behaviors. And most of the time, somebody who's too passive or too aggressive in their form of communication, then those end up being really negative experiences, like you talked about earlier, Trevor. And so
assertive using the exact same words.
Yeah.
That someone being
Totally.
aggressive often will also power up, as you mentioned, Heather, raise their voice or yell, maybe even get bigger, stand up, move, lean in, their posture, their facial expressions. And so if you're having a conversation about like where to go out to eat, I could say kind of simply, I don't want to go to that restaurant, to let my voice and opinion be heard. Or I can get a little like, I don't want to go to that restaurant. You know, it's like, now it's clear, if you disagree with me, we're going to have an even bigger problem. And now it's going to get amplified. So I think it's just being aware of what's my demeanor as I speak my truth and say it with confidence. And also on the back end, do I leave that door open for dialogue? Because I think if we're being aggressive, those same words are shutting the door. And you mentioned this, Heather, like it's closing down the opportunity for a back and forth. So I can be assertive and say, I don't want to go to that restaurant, but how are you feeling? And so I've stated my truth. Now I'm looking for yours. We're going to go back and forth. And maybe in the end, I'm able to say, that wouldn't be my pick, but I can see you want to go there. And I'm glad I'll find something I like. Let's go there. But if I'm aggressive, it's like, either go where I want or we're not going to go anywhere. And that really becomes, again, controlling and manipulation in a lot of conversations.
Yeah. And it is interesting that as you give yourself more value, your voice, your needs, your wants, how that can easily open your eyes to the needs and wants of the other person too. That maybe another episode down the road, like where assertive and empathy connect, because I can see that connection or it leading to that. The more assertive we can become, if we're more aware of other people's needs and wants, that can help grow our own empathy too. I don't know.